We just talked about a lot of new technology and fancy stuff, and now I will be talking about something that basically we, I guess, all use in the last 15 years almost, or close to. So let's see how we tried, and we, I guess, successfully revived Express, and the length of how we did that in the last couple of years, or 2 years, to be honest. Really quickly, I'm Jean Burellier. I'm working at Sanofi, doing a lot of open source, mostly on Express and Node.js, and you can find me on a lot of social stuff, so feel free to ping me for any question or discussion or stuff. First, some question for everyone. How many major versions has Express published? Raise your hand if you think it's 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 1, 2 people. So there was an Express version 0. something published 14 years ago that was almost never used, but technically it does exist. So 6 versions. Second part, how many weekly downloads does Express get from NPM? A, less than 1 million, B, between 1 and 10, C, 10 to 50 million, and the last one, more than 50 million. Okay, not that much, but, well, that much. Soon to be above the 50 million mark. So, and it's still growing. Next question, how many packages does the Express team maintain really actively? Is there 1? Raise your hand. 1, okay, no. 20 or around the 20 marks, okay. 40-ish. Yep, 60-ish. Okay, so it's 40, with some of them that you may already or use actively because you install them and you want them, some other being fully hidden every time you are doing something around Node.js and working on an API or even front-end stuff. That's just a small list of some of the modules that are being maintained. I think the current number is around 43 to 45 kind of modules that are really actively used also. And last question, because the main point of the talk is Express 5 was released. When do you think the Express v5 pull request was open on GitHub? Was it 2014? Raise your hand for 2014. 2016? Few people. 2018? Okay, a bit more. 2020? Okay, that was 2014. So it was open on July 14th, 2014. So that's a long pull request. More than 10 years. We'll see that it technically, I think, one of the longest pull requests that successfully merged on GitHub after 10 years of work. So yeah, maybe we'll get a Guinness record for that, I don't know, one day. So really quickly, Express is not only one package. Every time we are talking about Express, this is the main package. This is the package that everyone uses, npm install, or yarn, or any kind of other stuff, just to install Express and use it. But technically, the package itself is just a really, really small part of what we are covering, part of the Express ecosystem, and we display a few of other stuff. And the Express ecosystem is really composed of 3 organizations. The Express organization, the Pillar.js, and the JSHTTP organization. And there is a bit more than 45, let's say around 45 repositories with at least 1 million downloads per week, which means quite a lot. Other interesting number, if you take Express, for example, Express like we saw, it's 41 million-ish downloads per week. But if you take all the packages that are covered by the Express organization, it's around 60 billion npm download per year. So if you are using Node.js, or to be honest, any kind of JavaScript stuff today, there is a really, really huge probability that you are using something coming from the Express community as a package. Even if you are using Nest, if you are using Fastify, if you are using any kind of other framework. And just as a small graph, this is a npm trend graph comparing Nest.js, Express, Fastify, Happy, Koa, Restify. So people saying that, yes, that's a huge win on this one for Express. Like, Express is used a lot. And there was talk about front-end and front-end technology. If we compare Express with front-end technology, it's still the first in number of downloads. By a small margin, but it's technically above React since ever, except maybe 1 week somewhere in 2025, but that's all. So Express, even if you are saying that Express is not used, or I don't use Express because it's dead, or Express is a new PHP and no one is doing PHP, yes, that's not really true based on download and stuff like that. So Express is really used by a lot of companies, a lot of use case, and maybe sometimes it's just hidden behind one library or one tooling that you are using. For example, if you are still using, I think it's Webpack Dev Server v4, it was bringing Express part of Webpack. So, like I said, if you are writing JavaScript code really today, there is some part where one of the sub-library you are using is coming from the Express community. Could be around HTTP status, around handling specific error, could be just Express itself, could be the routing part, could be body parser. There is a lot of use case. Now let's discuss about the Express revival, because that's really the core part of what I wanted to discuss today. And for a long time, we saw issue or discussion about that on GitHub. So is Express dead 2016? Why Express code base is not changing or adding new feature 2020? 2021, is Express dead again? 2021, again, is there a future in Express? So we were a bit like, hey, please stop. So, no, yeah, like Express is really used. And with the number before, we were just all discussing about what do we want to do? Because killing a project that size does have really huge impact in the community. And we discussed about the pull request that was creating in 2024. There was a beta 1 published, some key points, some expectation before releasing the stable version. The main issue is if you don't have new version, you don't also push new, let's say, security fix, new update, new feature, maybe new performance improvement. So how was it handled? Because maybe we are not doing, or the project was not doing new major version, but was Express being safe to use? Was there a security update? Some people may have think that or thought that Express implemented new standard and following new implementation. And no one is saying promise, please. Performance, maybe. Express, if you compare that to Fastify, was historically not as fast as Fastify, and depending on the framework, it depends on the benchmark you are doing. How about adding new feature and handling new specific case or where the technology evolve and change? Or just basic updating dependency and features to remove, let's say, some stuff that were coming from library and that are now part of Node.js core. Just as a quick number, that was a screenshot took 2 years ago before we discussed everything, and we saw that pretty much everyone, or a lot of people, were using the version for 18 something, which is 20 million, a bit more than 20 million downloads per week. And now today, just as a small part, is way lower because a lot of people migrated to the new version. But we are coming back to that a bit later. So we wanted to have a discussion and to see how can we revive, how can we bring back Express or like live, or change how the development cycle of the technology and the library was handled and done. So I'm French, so everything started with cheese. Yes, there was also wine, but I don't have a picture, so you just have the cheese part. So we went out with Wesley, a good friend of mine working on Express also, and we were in Spain, and we basically say, hey, let's discuss about what we want to do with Express. We want to change how stuff are doing and going, and that was a really long discussion. But you can count a discussion long when at the end, it's a couple dead bottles. So. And then after that, we met other people, Ulysses also, and we started just discussing with current people close to the project, OpenJS Foundation, a bit of the community, to see what would be the best. And definitely that picture was not expected to be on a slide, but hey, now it's done, it's history. So we drafted the Express Forward initiative, which was basically a long, long list of points on what we want to do, how we want to do it, and what was the expectation. All started with a discussion with Wes, Ulysses joined, and really the idea is we cannot allow a huge library that is used by everyone, knowingly or not, to just die or to be flagged as deprecated. It would have a huge impact on the Node.js ecosystem and even the JavaScript ecosystem. So there was a really huge discussion with the OpenJS Foundation, with Robin, with some of the huge maintainers of the Node.js community, from Matteo, James, quite a lot of other people, about discussing what we want to do. This issue is not closed, but you can see pretty much everything that was inside. So there was even a plan defined for V5, V6, and V7. Everything will be, I guess, evolved, changed, but we laid out a plan to have pretty much everything visible from a community perspective and standpoint. Following that, the first action we took was to rebuild a complete technical committee group. And the main idea was keeping people that were already part of the project but not active anymore, and also bring new people. So the first row, Rand, Blake, Linus, and Wes were part of the project, not having time or maybe not having access to every repository, or just didn't want to work alone on Express. The second line of people, Ulysses, John, Chris, and myself, were like, hey, we want to help. Can we bring something to the community? Can we help? So we were voted in the TC, and we were able to start working on Express. The first task of the initiative was basically updating packages to new standard and publish the new version of Express, aka Express 5. Except that was a good dream, not a realistic dream. Because when you get back or start working on a project that was not really updated during almost 10 years, you have the security that is coming. And that's really complex on a scale of a project like Express. Security, I guess today, okay, I will ask a question. Who in the last 6 months, had to fix a lot of vulnerability linked to, let's say, Multer, body parser, pass to regex? Raise your hand, please. Pass to regex, please. At least this one. Express version and stuff like that. So a few people. Security was a huge topic because we were not thinking about, when we started the project, we were not thinking about how do you handle security for 40+ projects that were not updated for most of them for almost 10 years in terms of major improvement, and where a lot of security topics were maybe not addressed as we would have expected. So it was months and months of working, getting CVE, working with security experts, working with different companies and people to find all vulnerability, also specific topic or specific reports that were maybe not handled fully the right way, and just to try to fix and solve everything around that. But finally, after a couple months, in September 2024, so a bit more than 10 years after the PR being open, we were able to draft and to release the Express V5 version. So it was a 10 years work, longest PR successfully merged somewhere, and especially longest PR that also is used by a lot of people for a huge project. So I think that was quite a good release, but it's a boring release. There is no huge change, there is no amazing feature, there is no shiny stuff. We are not bringing TypeScript inside Express, we are not rewriting Express with Rust, nothing like that. Just a few, let's say, small stuff, but it was really to send a message. It's really to send a message about the project is alive again, and people are working on it. And some of the main changes. First, we are removing everything that is below, or the compatibility part below Node.js 18. Okay, we have Node.js 20 for now. It will become stable in a couple months. But when we worked on that, the main idea was to say, hey, let's keep 18. That will be a huge version, because before that, Express was fully compatible and fully tested up to Node 0.10 or .12. So we are speaking 25 or 30 different versions of Node.js that should not be used. If you are still using Node.js 0. something, first raise your hand. No one? Cool, that's great. If you don't know if you're running Node.js 0.10 or 12, raise your hand. No, joke aside, there is a lot of topic, and it was really to remove and to really say, hey, we are not maintaining, or we won't be working on version below 18, because if Node.js is not maintained, we won't be fixing Express anymore for that. Which also allows you good stuff. For example, adding and improving some good support for promise, working also on improving regex and specific path matching semantics. Also, we were able to include some body parser changes. And the last one is really to remove some deprecated method and signature that were still existing in v4, but the main idea was really to push them out for v5. And almost starting, I don't want to say with a blank state, but to try to have something that we can work on, not having to maintain across 20 versions of Node.js. Okay, so that's the current state, let's say, with Express. We do have a new version, we do have an Express 5 version, or 5+ version that is working. We start to have teams working on, but we don't want to have this kind of issue where a project the size of Express is not maintained anymore, or people are like, we'll use it, but we don't know who maintains it, who will provide security update. So that was really only the beginning of the work to try to release a v5. We wanted to go beyond that, and we still want to go beyond that, about security, performance, improving community, let's say, information or discussion, and especially the sustainability part. Because sustainability is really quite important. I guess we all have this picture of the one small project maintaining a full tower for the project from someone in Kansas, or Nevada, or I don't know where. So, yeah. So one of the main points on our side was really to try to create dedicated structure, like a working group. So first one, security. Security is quite important for us, so working with security was our main priority, especially because we also had a lot of issue before releasing v5 to handle security. Triage team, performance, website and documentation, and full infrastructure for the full Express ecosystem. So quite a lot of people are starting to work. Of course, if you want to work on Express, feel free to join us, land some pull requests, commit, discussion, stuff like that. There is never enough people to work on open source, so if you have time, feel free. Especially on security, we wanted to improve, like I said, security by a huge margin. I just already said about the security working group, the triage team, but really it was also implementing an LTS strategy for Express. For example, if I ask you, we release Express v5, when is Express 4 being deprecated? Does anyone know? Cool, because I don't either. And I'm working on that. So the main idea is really to convey this kind of message to everyone that when we'll be delivering new version, there will be an expected deadline on when we won't be maintaining. A bit like Node.js is doing, saying that, hey, LTS will be available for a couple months, year, and after that it will go to a support mode, and then it will be fully deprecated. That way, people will be aware when they will need to update, and every stuff like that. And also a huge strategy around automation, because maintaining 40, 50 packages, you don't want to manually do an npm install, npm update, and npm audit every day. So building automation is pretty good on that, and one of the key, let's say, feature we want to work on. Performance also. Who in a room is complaining that Express is not fast? Raise your hand. Okay, now I need to take a picture, and I will directly send it to Matteo, Cool, no one. I will take a video then. So, is Express good enough for speed and you don't need Fastify? Cool. Thank you. I will definitely send that to Matteo. No, speed depends on what system you are using. It makes sense if we can bring you more performance, more requests per second, more throughput in a way that doesn't change how you are working. Definitely, we want to do that. We also want to be able to add modern features, modern capabilities. And it will go through, for example, removing monkey patching feature part, monkey patching node core from some specific module from Express. It was something that was done by a lot of library, 10 years ago, because Node.js was not bringing those capabilities. Now it's part of the core, part of Node.js, so we want to remove those monkey patching. And for two reasons. First one, it can be breaking anytime. Second one, some of those monkey patching are still, let's say, protected in Node.js, in the Node core, because Node core don't want to break Express. So definitely, if we are able on the Express project to remove some monkey patching, everyone in the Node.js ecosystem should gain also some performance. And the last part, like we discussed, we say we remove compatibility. We remove some part of the compatibility, only the easiest way. We did not remove every if node version equal 5 or 6. So we still have a lot of spaghetti code that we need to clean to gain some performance on that. Also, community. Like I said, I don't want, and no one in the project, and I guess in the OpenJS Foundation, and I hope in this room, want to have one of the largest projects of the Node.js ecosystem just being stale at best, almost dead if we want to be realistic. So the idea is really, we want to work with the community, from bringing people that will spend time working on dedicated repo they want to maintain, triage team working a lot more on documentation, and the typing part. Because typing, even if I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of TypeScript for a lot of reasons, types can be great. And community want types, so definitely we want to continue working on improving the typing system. For that, we worked with a lot of different companies, different projects, OpenJS Foundation, HeroDev, Tidelift, GitHub, and Open Collective, just to find a way to build this kind of global sustainability across the board, to keep Express safe, to keep Express alive, and to keep innovating with Express. And today, sorry for the light, but that's a good time for the light with a new number around Express. So this is really all, not all, but most of the version we released in the last, let's say, year, but in fact 9-10 months, with a lot of adoption. For example, we can see that from the 18 million plus, a lot of people migrated to the last one of the V4 version line, so 4.21.2. But also, in the last 2 months, more than 5 million people, or at least projects, migrated to use the latest version, so 5.1, which was released like a couple months ago. And we can see also that a lot of people are not using v5.0.0, and everyone migrated to the last v5 line, which is pretty great, because by saying that, we can see that a lot of people are aware that Express moved and is alive again, and people manually targeted to try to move out to the new version, and seems like it's working successfully. So yeah, but there is still a lot of work to do from a V4, V5, V6, V7, and that was how to revive Express. And that was definitely quite challenging on pretty much everything, from discussion with the community, with other maintainers, with Node.js, with there is a lot of work involved, so we are quite happy that I hope you are using Express 5. If not, upgrade. If you have any feedback, ping us, come find me after this talk. So yeah, let's discuss about Express. And for the small joke, the train, it's a fully unofficial logo for Express 5, just AI generated. during a meal with ChatGPT on trying to find a good logo for Express 5, and we don't know why ChatGPT was like, oh, Express 5, I guess you was thinking about the Orient Express or some train like that. So the logo is a train, but that's all. Thank you so much.